My name is Alice. I am 28 years old. That is what they tell me. They tell me many things. They tell me I live in a beautiful house. They tell me I have a perfect life. They tell me I have a loving husband. His name is David. I wake up every morning in a big, soft bed. The room is painted a calm, quiet white. Sunlight streams through a large window. David is often sitting in a chair beside the bed, watching me. He smiles when my eyes open. It is a kind smile, but it feels like the smile of a stranger. The first thing I remember is the hospital. The walls were white. The sheets were white. Everything smelled clean and strange. My head hurt. A deep, heavy ache. I opened my eyes and he was there. David. He held my hand. His hand was warm. He said, "Alice, you're awake." I was so worried. I looked at his face. He had nice eyes, a gentle face, but I felt nothing. No spark, no recognition. It was like looking at a picture in a magazine. A doctor came in. He was a kind man with glasses. He explained things slowly. "You were in a car accident, Alice," he said. "You have something called amnesia. You have lost your memory." The word felt big and empty. Amnesia. Lost my memory. It meant the story of my life was gone. My childhood. My friends, my favorite color, my parents, all gone. I was a blank page. David squeezed my hand. "It's okay," he whispered. "I'm here. I will help you remember. We will get through this together." His voice was soft and reassuring. I wanted to believe him. I wanted to feel safe. But my heart felt cold and scared. Who was this man? Why did my heart not know him? After a few days, the doctor said I could go home. Home. The word should feel warm. It should feel safe. But for me, it just felt like another strange place. David drove me in a big, quiet car. We drove through tree-lined streets. The houses were large and beautiful. Our house was one of them. It was made of brick, with a neat green lawn. Flowers grew in perfect lines along the path. It looked like a house from a movie. A perfect house. Inside, everything was clean. So clean. The floors shone. The furniture was dark wood. The walls were painted in soft, pale colors. Beige, gray, cream. There were no messy corners. No piles of books. No sign of a real, lived-in life. It felt like a showroom. A beautiful, empty box. David gave me a tour. "This is our living room," he said, pointing to a large sofa and a fireplace. "We love to sit here in the evenings." He showed me the kitchen. It was modern and shiny. "You love to cook," he said. "You make the best lasagna." I looked at the shiny stove. I couldn't imagine cooking anything. My hands felt clumsy and useless. He led me upstairs. "This is our bedroom," he said. It was the big room with the soft bed. The one I saw in my dreams at the hospital. On a table beside the bed, there were pictures in silver frames. Pictures of me and David. In one picture, we were on a beach, smiling. The sun was setting. We looked happy. In another, we were dressed up at a fancy party. I was wearing a long, elegant dress. David's arm was around my waist. We looked like a perfect couple. I picked up a frame. I looked at the woman in the picture. Her hair was neat. Her smile was polite. Was that really me? She looked like a stranger too. A polite, quiet stranger. I felt a disconnect. Like I was watching a movie about someone else's life. Then David showed me the most important picture. It was our wedding album, a heavy book with a white leather cover. We sat on the big, soft bed. He opened it carefully. "This was the happiest day of our lives," he said softly. The first page showed a picture of a church. Then pictures of guests. Then pictures of us. I was in a beautiful white dress. My hair was up in a neat style. I was holding a bouquet of white roses. David was beside me in a black suit. We were standing at the altar. We were smiling. In every picture, we were smiling. We looked so happy, so in love. Anyone who saw these pictures would say, "They have a perfect life." But I looked closer. I stared at the man in the photo, the man in the black suit. He was smiling, but there was something in his eyes, something I couldn't name. Then I looked at the man sitting beside me on the bed, the real David. He was also smiling, waiting for me to remember, waiting for me to feel something. My heart started beating fast. A strange feeling washed over me, a feeling of wrongness, a cold, deep feeling in my stomach. I looked at the photo of the groom. Then I looked at the man beside me, my husband, my loving husband, and a thought, clear and loud, echoed in my mind. This is not the same man. His face was the same shape. His hair was the same color. But the feeling was different. The energy was different. The man in the picture felt, I don't know. But the man beside me felt like a stranger, a complete stranger wearing my husband's face. I felt a chill run down my spine. I closed the album quickly. My hands were trembling. "What's wrong, Alice?" David asked. His voice was full of concern. "Nothing," I whispered. "I'm just tired." How could I explain it? How could I say, "I think you are not the man in my wedding photo"? He would think I was crazy. The doctors would think my brain was more damaged than they thought. So I said nothing. I just smiled a small, weak smile. The same polite smile as the woman in the pictures. That night, the secret began. The terrible feeling that my perfect life was a perfect lie. And the man sleeping beside me, the man who held my hand and promised to help me remember, he was the biggest lie of all. I tried to live my new life, this quiet, beige life. I tried to be the woman in the pictures, the quiet, polite wife. David was very patient with me. He was always kind. He would make me breakfast in the morning, a simple breakfast, toast and tea. "You always loved this," he would say. I would drink the tea. It tasted like hot water. I wondered if I ever really liked it. He told me stories about our life together. Stories about trips we took. Paris, Italy. Stories about friends we had. The stories were nice, but they felt like they belonged to someone else. I would listen and nod. I would try to picture myself in these places, with these friends, but I couldn't. The canvas of my mind was blank. "You love to read," he told me one day. He pointed to a bookshelf in the living room. The books were all neatly arranged. They were serious books. History, biographies. There were no colorful covers. No stories of adventure or magic. I pulled one out. The pages felt stiff, like it had never been opened. I tried to read it. The words were just words. They didn't create pictures in my head. They didn't make me feel anything. He said I didn't like going out much. "You are a homebody," he said with a smile. "You always said your home is your sanctuary." But I felt restless. I would stand by the big window in the living room and look outside. I wanted to walk on the green grass. I wanted to feel the sun on my face. I wanted to see other people. But David said it was better to rest, to stay inside where it was safe. He said the world could be overwhelming for me right now. So I stayed inside. The beautiful house started to feel more and more like a prison. A comfortable, clean prison. One day, while David was at work, my curiosity became too strong. I needed to find something. A piece of the real me. Not the beige, quiet Alice that David described. I started to explore the house on my own. I opened drawers. I looked in closets. Everything was neat, orderly. His side of the closet had dark suits and plain shirts. My side had beige dresses, gray skirts, and white blouses. Everything was the same color palette as the house. Calm, quiet, boring. But in the very back of the closet, behind a row of shoes, I found a box. It was a simple cardboard box, taped shut. It felt out of place in this perfect house. My heart beat a little faster. I peeled back the tape. Inside, there was a burst of color. Bright colors. A red scarf. A blue sweater. A yellow dress with flowers on it. The clothes felt soft. They felt alive. I held the yellow dress up against me. It felt right. It felt more like me than any of the beige clothes. Why were these hidden? I put them back in the box and hid it again. I felt like I had discovered a secret. My own secret. The inconsistencies kept growing. Small things. David said I hated spicy food. But one evening, he ordered pizza, and I accidentally put some hot pepper flakes on my slice. It was delicious. I loved the heat. I quickly drank some water, pretending it was too spicy. I didn't want him to know. I felt like I had to protect my small discoveries. He said I was not a fan of music. He said I preferred silence. But one afternoon, when I was alone, I turned on the radio. A song came on. A fast, happy song. I found myself tapping my foot. I wanted to dance. The feeling was so strong. I twirled around the quiet living room, laughing, feeling alive for the first time in this house. I turned it off quickly before David came home. The silence that followed felt heavy and sad. Who was I? Was I the quiet woman who liked beige clothes and silence? Or was I the woman who loved yellow dresses and dancing in the living room? I felt like two different people were fighting inside me. And I was sure that David only knew one of them. Or maybe he only wanted me to be one of them. My desire to leave the house grew stronger each day. I needed to see the world outside these perfect walls. One morning, I told David I wanted to go for a walk, just around the neighborhood. He looked worried. "Are you sure you're ready, Alice?" he asked. "What if you get lost or confused?" "I will stay close," I promised. "I just need some fresh air." He hesitated. Then he nodded slowly. "All right," he said, "but take your phone. Call me if you need anything." Walking out the front door alone felt like a huge victory. The air was cool and fresh. I walked down the quiet street. The houses were all big and perfect, just like ours. But it felt good to be moving, to be outside. I found a small park a few blocks away. It had a pond and big, old trees. I sat on a bench and watched the ducks. I felt a sense of peace I never felt inside the house. As I was sitting there, a woman with a friendly dog walked by. She stopped. She looked at me with wide eyes. "Alice," she said. Her voice was full of surprise. "Alice, it really is you." I looked at her. I didn't recognize her. She had curly brown hair and a warm smile. She seemed genuinely happy to see me. "I'm sorry," I said softly. "Do I know you?" Her smile faltered. "Oh," she said. "I heard about the accident. I'm Sarah. We were friends. We took a pottery class together." Pottery class. David had never mentioned a pottery class. He said I didn't have any hobbies. "I'm so sorry," I said again. I lost my memory. "Oh, you poor thing," Sarah said, sitting on the bench next to me. "That must be awful. I tried to call, but your number was disconnected. I even went by your old apartment, but you had moved." Old apartment. My mind started racing. "We moved?" I asked. Sarah looked confused. "Well, yes. After everything. How are you doing? How is David?" When she said his name, her voice changed. Her warm smile tightened. She looked away for a second. "He's taking care of me," I said carefully, watching her face. "That's good," she said, but her tone said something else. There was a hesitation, a feeling of discomfort. I knew in that moment that Sarah knew something. She knew the real me, the me before the accident. "Sarah," I said, my voice low, "can I ask you something? Did I like the color beige?" She looked at me, puzzled. "Beige," she repeated. "You, Alice, you hated beige. You called it the color of boredom. Your apartment was filled with color. You painted one wall in your kitchen bright orange, remember?" No, I didn't remember. But I believed her. It felt more true than anything David had told me. The yellow dress, the dancing, the love of spicy food. It was all starting to make sense. "I have to go," I said suddenly. I felt a sense of urgency, a sense of danger. "It was so nice to meet you, Sarah." Wait, she said. She quickly wrote something on a piece of paper from her purse. This is my number. Please, Alice. If you need anything, if you just want to talk, call me. Anytime. I took the paper. Her eyes were full of real concern. Thank you, I said. I walked home quickly. My heart was pounding. David had lied, not just small lies, big lies. He was trying to build a new me, a different Alice. The question was, why? When I got home, the house felt different. It was no longer just a boring prison. It was a dangerous one. I looked at the calm, beige walls. They seemed to be hiding dark secrets. I knew I had to find them. That evening, I searched the house again, with a new purpose. Sarah's words echoed in my mind. Your old apartment. This beautiful house wasn't our home, not our real home. I needed to find a clue, something from my old life. The life with the orange kitchen wall. I went into the study. David called it his office. It was neat, organized. Books on shelves, files in cabinets. I started looking through his desk drawers. Papers, pens, nothing. Then, under a pile of envelopes, I felt something. A small metal box. It was locked. I searched the desk for a key. Nothing. I searched the whole room. Nothing. I felt a surge of frustration. The answer was in that box. I was sure of it. I spent the next few days thinking about the box. And the key. Where would a person hide a key? I thought about all the places I had searched. Then I remembered something. On my bedside table, there was a small silver music box. David had told me it was broken. It was just a decoration he bought for me. I had never touched it. I went upstairs. My hands were shaking. I picked up the music box. It was heavier than it looked. I turned it over. On the bottom, there was a tiny, hidden compartment. I slid it open, and there it was, a small, silver key. I ran back to the study. My heart was a drum against my ribs. I put the key in the lock of the metal box. It turned. With a soft click, the box opened. Inside, there was no money, no jewels. There were papers and a journal, a small, leather-bound journal. I opened it. The handwriting was messy, looping, familiar. It was my handwriting. I knew it instantly. It felt like finding a piece of my own soul. I started to read. The journal told the story of a life I didn't know. A life filled with love, laughter, and color. It told the story of me and my husband. But his name was not David. His name was Leo. My breath caught in my throat. Leo. The name felt warm. It felt right. I read on, my hands trembling. Leo was a painter, an artist. He was passionate and funny. He filled our small apartment with his big, colorful paintings. He called me his sunshine. He loved my yellow dress. We danced in the kitchen. We ate spicy food. We argued and we laughed. Our life wasn't perfect. We didn't have much money, but it was real. It was filled with love. Then the journal entries started to mention David. Leo's older brother David came to visit today. I had written. He doesn't approve of us. He thinks Leo is irresponsible. He calls his art a silly hobby. He looks at our messy, happy apartment with such cold eyes. David was Leo's brother. That's why they looked similar. But they were not the same. They were opposites. Leo was warmth and color. David was cold and beige. I kept reading. The entries became more frequent, more worried. David is coming over a lot now. He and Leo are fighting. David says Leo owes him money. He keeps looking at Leo's new paintings. There's one big one that a gallery wants to buy. It's worth a lot of money. David wants a share. Leo says no. I don't like the way David looks at me when Leo is not in the room. It scares me. My blood ran cold. I turned the page. The last entry was short. The handwriting was shaky. It was dated the day before my accident. Leo is gone. David came over this morning. They were yelling. I heard a crash from the studio. I ran in. Leo was on the floor. He wasn't moving. There was blood. David just stood there. He looked at me. His eyes, they were empty. I screamed. I ran. I have to get away. I have to call for help. He is not the man I thought he was. He is a monster. I dropped the journal. A sob escaped my lips. A deep, painful sound. It was all there, the truth, the horrible, terrible truth. Leo, my husband. David had hurt him. Maybe he had killed him. And the accident, it happened when I was running away from him. Running for my life. And then he saw his chance. The amnesia. The blank page. He could erase Leo. He could erase my real life. He could steal me. He could create the perfect, quiet, beige life he always wanted. With his brother's wife. I felt sick. The kind, patient David was a lie. A carefully constructed character. Underneath, he was a monster, a thief, a killer. I was living in a house with the man who had destroyed my life. I had to get out. I had to get away from him. I grabbed the journal. I grabbed my phone. I remembered the piece of paper Sarah had given me. I found it in my pocket. My hands were shaking so hard I could barely dial the numbers. It rang once, twice. Hello, Sarah's warm voice. Sarah, I whispered, my voice choked with tears. It's me, Alice, I remember. I remember everything. There was silence on the other end. Then, oh, Alice, where are you? Are you safe? No, I cried softly. I'm not safe. I'm at his house. David's house. He's not my husband. My husband was Leo. He hurt him, Sarah. I think he killed him. Stay calm, Alice, Sarah said. Her voice was steady now. Strong. Listen to me. Where is David now? He's at work, I said. He'll be home soon. Okay, you need to leave. Right now. Do you understand? Get out of the house. Don't take anything except the journal. That is your proof. Walk to the park. The one where we met. I will meet you there. And I will call the police. We will figure this out. Just get to the park. Can you do that? Yes, I whispered. Yes, I can do that. Be brave, Alice, she said. You are so much stronger than you think." We hung up. I stood there for a second, my body frozen with fear. Then Sarah's words echoed in my head. "Be brave." I took a deep breath. I stuffed the journal into my bag. I walked towards the front door. My hand was on the doorknob when I heard a key in the lock. My heart stopped. He was home, early. The door opened. David walked in. He was smiling. "I finished work early," he said. "I thought I would surprise you." Then he saw my face. He saw the bag in my hand. He saw the terror in my eyes. His smile vanished. "Alice," he said, "what's wrong? Where are you going?" I couldn't speak. I just stared at him. The man who had stolen my life. He took a step towards me. "You look pale," he said. His voice was soft again. The fake, kind voice. Did something happen? I found my voice. It was shaky, but it was clear. "I know who you are," I said. His face changed. The kindness disappeared. His eyes became cold. Hard, the eyes I had read about in my journal. "What are you talking about?" he asked. "I'm talking about Leo," I said. His name felt powerful on my lips. "My husband, your brother." He froze. For a moment, he said nothing. The silence in the beige house was deafening. "You remember," he finally whispered. It wasn't a question. It was a statement. A defeated, empty statement. "I found my journal," I said, holding my bag tighter. "I know what you did." "Alice, you don't understand," he started. "It was an accident. We were fighting. He fell. I never meant to hurt him." "You left him there?" I screamed. The quiet, polite Alice was gone. In her place was a woman filled with rage and grief. "You left him to die. And then you lied to me. You trapped me here." "I did it because I love you," he shouted back. "I've always loved you. Leo didn't deserve you. He was reckless. He couldn't give you a stable life. I gave you everything. You gave me a prison," I cried. "You gave me a lie. My life with Leo, it might have been messy, but it was real. It was mine." He took another step towards me. His face was twisted with anger and desperation. "You are not leaving," he said. His voice was low and dangerous. I backed away, moving towards the kitchen. My mind was racing. I had to get out. I saw the back door. It led to the garden. "It's over, David," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. He lunged for me. I dodged, my heart pounding in my ears. I ran into the kitchen. He was right behind me. I grabbed a heavy frying pan from the stove. I held it up. "Stay away from me," I yelled. He stopped. He looked at the pan. He looked at me. He saw the determination in my eyes. He knew I would use it. The fear was still there, but underneath it, there was a new feeling. Strength. I was not the weak, confused woman he thought I was. I was Alice, and I was fighting for my life. For Leo's life. Just then, we heard the sound of sirens. Getting closer. And closer. Red and blue lights flashed through the windows of the perfect, beige house. David's face crumbled. The fight went out of him. He looked lost, defeated. He sank to the floor. I just wanted you to be happy, he whispered. But his words were empty now. The police burst through the front door. Sarah was with them. She ran to me. She hugged me tight. You did it, Alice, she whispered. You're safe now. I dropped the frying pan. It clattered on the shiny floor. I let myself cry, tears of grief for Leo, for the life we lost, but also tears of relief. The lies were over. The prison was open. I was free. The days that followed were a blur. Police stations, questions, statements. They found Leo's body hidden. David had confessed to everything. The fight, the fall, the cover-up, the lies. It was all out in the open. My memories didn't all come back at once. They came back in small pieces, flashes. A memory of Leo laughing with paint on his nose. The smell of the orange wall in our kitchen. The feeling of his hand in mine. Each memory was a painful gift. It hurt to remember what I had lost, but it also felt good to remember who I was. I didn't stay in the beige house. Sarah helped me find a small apartment. It was nothing like David's perfect house. The walls were a little crooked. The floors creaked, but it was mine. I bought cans of paint. Bright yellow, ocean blue, sunset orange. I filled the small rooms with color. I bought a cheap radio and played music all day long. I danced when I wanted to. I started to live again. Not the quiet life David created for me, but my life. A little messy, a little sad sometimes, but real. I found the pottery studio Sarah had told me about. I signed up for a class. The feeling of the cool clay in my hands was comforting. It felt good to create something with my own hands, to make something new. I still have gaps in my memory. There are parts of my life that are still a blank page, but I know who I am now. I am Alice. I am a woman who loves color and music. I am a woman who survived something terrible. I am a woman who is strong. Sometimes, at night, I look out my window at the city lights. I think about Leo. I miss him with a pain that still takes my breath away. But I also feel a sense of peace. David is in prison. Justice was served. And I am here. I am living. For both of us. My name is Alice. I lost my memory. I lost my husband. I lost my life. But then I found myself. The journey was dark and scary, but I learned something. The truth is always there. You just have to be brave enough to look for it. Even when you are scared, you have a strength inside you that you don't even know about. It's okay to feel lost. It's okay to be broken for a while. Healing takes time, but it is possible. You can build a new life, a true life, one small, colorful step at a time. Keep going. You can do this too.